Hi everyone, welcome along to the studio. I thought today I would give you a little demo on how I condition Kato Polymer Clay. Now, I've been working with Kato for about 15 years and maybe a bit longer now, I can't quite remember. And I actually love this clay. I love it because it holds its shape really well. And for certain processes and techniques that I use, this is a great clay for me. So remember, everything I'm telling you is what works for me and what works in my studio. Now I'm going to pull in some purple clay that I've opened, and I'm simply going to cut off a couple of sections. So this is exactly what I do when I begin to condition my Kato clay. Simply pop it together, and I'm going to use my acrylic rod to start off with. Now, if I was conditioning Primo clay, I could simply cut a slice from here and run it through my pasta machine, and it would be soft already and it would run through quite beautifully. More often than not with Kato, it's a little different. Sometimes you might put it through the pasta machine and it crumbles and breaks and falls apart, and you think, oh my gosh, what have I got here? And it's actually nothing wrong with the clay, it's simply the conditioning process. So I am going to start by working with my acrylic rod. I'm applying slight pressure. I'm actually standing up at the moment, and I'm just applying slight pressure. I'm not breaking my arms, breaking my back. I'm just working my clay so that it's just starting to move nicely under the roller. So the majority of polymer clay that you're buying at the moment is actually very soft and fresh. Sorry, not soft, I should say fresh. So if you're buying Kato, you'll be buying fresh clay. If you buy from someone who's had it for a long time, you might come across clay that's really firm, and this is a great way to condition it. So you can simply roll it like this, fold it, and continue rolling until you're happy with the consistency, which should be kind of a little bit soft and flexible in your hand. This is when I move to my pasta machine, and I'm going to start on number 1, which is my thickest setting. So I'm going to run through the pasta machine, and that's my first roll through. I'm going to reduce the setting by 1, and I'm not going to fold this, I'm going to run it through again. There we go, reduce the setting. This time I'll reduce it by 2, and I'll run through again. So I'm just getting thinner each time. Let's reduce by 2 again, and I'm not folding, that's the key. Just reduce the setting, keep your clay unfolded. I'm going down again to number 8, so I'm on a very thin setting of my pasta machine, and my clay is actually really quite beautiful, soft. I've got other bits in there, I'm not stressing about that. So this is when I would fold it, and I would bring my pasta machine setting back to about a number 4, run it through, reduce my setting again to number 6, and run it through, and then maybe fold and continue running through. So I know that's probably sound like a really confusing, oh my God, Deb, what did you do? How many times did you roll it? What I would suggest is that your first roll through, you just don't fold your clay, continue to roll it to a very thin setting, and then maybe put your pasta machine on a medium thin setting and continue to condition. So my clay now is looking very nice. I find it conditions quicker and easier on a thinner setting. So that's how I condition my Kato Polymer Clay. Now, if I have got some very hard Kato clay, which is this pink one here is a very hard piece that I rolled through on the pasta machine. You can use a food processor. So you would put your clay into the food processor, and I have one that's dedicated to polymer clay. Pop it in the food processor, put in a little bit of clay softener or Cernit magic mix, and you end up with, and this was actually very rock hard Kato pearl clay, but I've got it to a point where I can actually roll it really nicely and it comes together really well. So that's another option. Applying Cernit magic mix or clay softener directly to your clay. I've actually read somewhere just recently, sorry, I have to tell you this story, but I read somewhere just recently, and it was on a YouTube video because I was looking to see if there was much about conditioning Kato. And in one of the comments, someone had mentioned that they mix water in their polymer clay to soften it. Someone had mentioned they mixed moisturizer in their polymer clay to soften it. And there's always lots of stuff out there about saying put baby oil or olive oil or coconut oil into your clay to soften it. I, for one, wouldn't do that because I'm adding stuff that's, I think, not really going to work. But again, you've got to do what works in your studio. We have specific clay softeners on the market that do the job, that are made specifically for that purpose. So that is probably what I would use, and in fact I do use. So it's always good to keep things like that in mind, and I always say that if someone tells you and you're unsure, see if you can find some correct information, ask someone who you think might know, or try it yourself and do some experimenting and see what happens. So really, conditioning Kato polymer clay is really not that difficult. It is a great clay to have in your studio because it does work a little differently to some of the other clays and it holds its shape incredibly well. So I think that's about all I really needed to tell you about conditioning Kato polymer clay. I'm sure there's something I've left out. And Deb, you didn't tell us about this. So if I have forgotten anything, by all means, please pop a comment down below and I will answer you the best I can. So that is it from the studio today. Thank you for joining me. And I will be sure to catch you again somewhere around. Thanks, guys. Bye for now.